Dear Speaker, fellow members and South Africans, wow, what a journey it has been to reach this point. Today marks a definitive moment in our nation's fiscal journey. 3 lockups, 3 budget speeches, 3 budget speech days, 2 intense committee meetings on the fiscal framework, one of them possibly setting a record, both length and debate, and finally a court case. But here we are. This journey has been long, necessary, but ultimately empowering. And for the first time in years, it is a road travelled not by Parliament alone, but by the eyes, voices, and hopes of millions of South Africans who watched closely. We have demonstrated that our democratic institutions work when we demand them to. This year's budget process has achieved something remarkable. For the first time in decades, ordinary South Africans were not mere spectators, but active participants in shaping the nation's fiscal future. Last year, if I'd gone to the streets and asked the average South African when the national budget process starts, I think we would have been hard-pressed to find somebody. But 2025 has shown differently. When citizens watch, comment, and engage with the budget process, our democracy grows. And this is precisely what the Constitution envisioned, a government that is accountable to the people and not the other way around. For the first time in our democratic history, ordinary citizens cared, not just because of taxes, but because they knew that the decisions taken here affect them. As South Africa steps into the 3rd decade of democracy and a new government is at the helm, the government of national unity, we are reminded that this nation was forged in challenge and is built in endurance. And while the waters may be choppy, we must navigate them in courage, clarity, and purpose. The GNU must prove that South Africa can govern effectively across party lines when the stakes demand it. This is also a matter of national importance that we pursue measures to grow our economy and to deliver jobs. The fiscal framework we debate today is not just numbers. It is the foundations of our national recovery. It ensures transparency in how the government collects its revenue and demands justification for every rand spent. And let's speak plainly and openly. In 2008, our debt to GDP ratio was a manageable 27%. Today, we face a forecast of 77% by the end of the year. This trajectory is unsustainable and represents a betrayal to future generations. Every rand spent on interest is stolen from our schools, clinics, police stations, and roads. We cannot build a new country on debt. We cannot create jobs at the expense of the next generation. We need to enter into a rebuild phase, and the government's spending on vanity programs, departments that duplicate functions, and those that blatantly splurge on unnecessary luxuries must go. Why? Because we're in a financial crisis. Unemployment is sky high, with more than 8 million people that don't have the dignity of work. Growth has stagnated, and hope is fragile. But South Africa is also the land with astonishing potential, the friendliest country in the world, a place of Ubuntu, resilience, and everyday kindness, because South Africans are just lacquer like that. We embody the spirit needed for success, but kindness cannot feed our families and grow our economy. We need to match the spirit with prosperity, and prosperity looks like a child that can read for meaning, a young person who sets out to find a job and builds a greater future, trucks and trains that carry goods to reliable world-class ports, and not to harbors ranked in the worst in the world. Our very own South African businesses choose to export their goods through our neighbouring countries because they cannot stomach the shambles that are our harbours. This is unacceptable, as South Africa can be the potential for the trading hub of Africa. But for the first time in years, I see a shimmer of hope, a sense that the old ways are ending and a new path is possible. We need not accept the mediocrity of the past 3 decades, but we need to prioritise prosperity front and centre. Parliament has 2 distinct functions, passing legislation and holding the executive to account. The fiscal framework allows oppositional views to change or propose alternatives to the government's fiscal framework. And this year's budget process showed Parliament's oversight functions at its finest. It was historic to witness the committee's success in challenging the proposed 2% VAT increase, a burden South Africans could not bear. Today's unchanged VAT rate represents a victory for economic reasons and for citizen advocacy. For 3 decades, we have sung the words of our national anthem, and the last verse is more relevant today than ever. Sounds the call to come together, and united we shall stand. Those captivate perfectly the spirit that we defeated the proposed VAT increase. South Africans from every corner of this nation spoke with one voice, demanded alternatives that would not cripple the people. Today we table a proposal that is more desirable. We have a long way to go, and many belts need to be tightened, and government needs to set us on a road to excellence. But our unity has brought us to this place in the budget. Today we adopt the fiscal framework, the foundation on which our nation's budget rests. To ensure transparent fiscal transparency, provide predictability to our investors and to the credit rating agencies, and to maintain stability in the public finance management. The journey does not end here. You have taken the critical first step with us, and I urge you to remain engaged throughout the entire budget process. From today, the timer begins from the Division of Revenue Bill that must be passed in the coming days. This bill is critical for the annual piece of legislation which determines how the nationally raised finances will flow from national, province, and local government. And finally, we must pass the appropriation bill before the end of July. Every step we build upon the next. There are no shortcuts in good governance. And as MPs, we are directly involved in scrutinizing and voting on the legislation as it passes through the parliamentary processes. We need to ask the hard questions, demand clear answers, and vote for the best interest of South Africa. The path to prosperity requires difficult choices, unwavering accountability, and courage. For too long, you've been excluded from this process, but no more. This year, you stood with us. Stay with us and fight for a budget that delivers dignity, jobs, growth, and excellence, and not poverty and stagnation. We have far to go, but we have taken the first step.
Honorable Mautwe.